这个故事的难度相当于美国本土小学2年级的英语水平。如果你觉得这个难度听着不累，那说明这个故事是适合你的母语学习法素材。如果你熟悉这个情节，那么你会有足够的注意力集中在英文上，这是最理想的。记得点击订阅按钮，我们开始吧。
Once there were two men. They did not know each other at first. One man was named Edward. Edward had a lot of money, so much money. He had big houses and fast cars. He even owned big hospitals where sick people went to get better. But Edward was often grumpy. He was often alone. He had a daughter, but they did not talk. Sometimes Edward felt a little empty inside, like something was missing. The other man was named Carter. Carter was a car fixer. He was very smart. He loved to read books and knew many things about the world and old times. Carter had a wife named Virginia. He loved Virginia very much. He had a family, and they all loved each other. Long ago, Carter dreamed of being a teacher of history, but he had to take care of his family, so he fixed cars. He was a kind man. One day, a sad thing happened. Edward got very sick, and Carter got very sick too. They both had a bad sickness called cancer. The doctor said they needed to stay in a hospital. It was one of Edward's own hospitals. And guess what? Edward and Carter ended up in the same room, 2 beds, side by side. At first, they were not friends. Edward was used to telling everyone what to do. Carter was quiet and liked things neat. They were so different. Edward felt cross. Carter felt a bit shy and unsure. Carter had a piece of paper. Long ago, when he was in school, his teacher said, "Write a list. Things you want to do before your life is over." Carter called it his bucket list. He wrote a few things on it, like, see something truly amazing. Then, feeling sad because he was so sick, he crumpled the paper and threw it in the trash. He thought, I will never do these things now. Edward saw the crumpled paper. He picked it up. He read Carter's list. Edward thought, this is a good idea. Edward was not a quiet man. He added more things to the list, exciting things, wild things, like jump out of an airplane and drive a fast race car. Then the doctors came. They had very sad news. They told Edward and Carter, you do not have much time to live, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year. This made Edward very sad. It made Carter very sad. They were scared. What could they do with so little time? Edward looked at the list. Then he looked at Carter. Edward said, I have lots of money. We can do these things, all of them. Let's go, Carter. Carter thought about his wife, Virginia, and his family. He did not want to leave them, but he also thought about his dreams, the things he always wanted to do. It was a big choice. Finally, Carter said, okay, Edward, let's do it. His heart felt a little bit excited and a little bit scared. So their big adventure began. Edward had his own airplane, Zoom. They flew up high. First on the list, fall out of an airplane with a parachute. Carter was so scared. His eyes were big. Edward was excited. He grinned. They both jumped. Down they went. The wind pushed their faces. It felt like they were birds. They landed safe. They laughed and laughed. It felt good to be brave. Next, they drove super fast race cars on a track. Vroom, vroom. The cars were loud. They went so fast. Carter held on tight. Edward shouted with joy. Then they flew all around the big, wide world. They went to a place called France. They ate good food. They went to Egypt and saw the giant pyramids. Carter knew all about the pyramids from his books. He touched the old stones. His eyes sparkled. He was so happy to see them for real. They went to India and saw a beautiful white building called the Taj Mahal. It looked like a palace from a dream. They went to Africa. They went on a safari and saw amazing animals, tall giraffes, big lions, and stripy zebras. They visited the Great Wall of China. It was so long, like a giant stone snake sleeping on the hills. They wanted to see the top of the tallest mountain in the world, Mount Everest, a place with snow and ice and amazing views. But the weather was too bad. The clouds were too thick. They could not go. They felt a little bit sad about that. As they traveled, Edward and Carter talked. They talked about their lives. They told stories. They shared their secret worries. They shared their happy thoughts. Slowly, they started to understand each other. Edward started to smile more. He did not feel so empty. Carter felt happy he could share his dreams and see the world. They were becoming good friends, best friends. Carter missed his wife, Virginia. He wrote her postcards. He loved her so much. Sometimes he felt a little bit guilty for being away from her. Edward did not always understand this big family love at first. He had pushed his own family away. Carter knew Edward had a daughter. Edward never talked about her. He had hurt her feelings a long, long time ago. They did not speak anymore. Carter told Edward, "Edward, you should try to see your daughter. Tell her you are sorry." Edward felt scared. His heart felt tight. He was ashamed of how he had acted. "I don't know if I can," he thought. One day they were in a busy city called Hong Kong. Edward wanted to do something nice for Carter. He had a secret plan. He called Carter's wife, Virginia. He asked her to fly to Hong Kong to surprise Carter. Edward thought Carter would be so happy, but Carter was not happy. He was angry, very angry. He felt Edward was trying to control his life, just like he always controlled everything with his money. "You had no right, Edward," Carter said, his voice shaking a little. Edward was surprised. "I just thought you missed her. I wanted you to be happy." "This was our list, our trip," Carter said. "Not for you to manage my family." It was a big fight. They both said loud words. They both felt hurt. Carter said, "I am going home." And just like that, the big adventure stopped. They were both sad that their trip ended this way. Carter went home to Virginia and his family. They hugged him so tight. He felt warm and safe. He was happy to be with the people he loved most. Edward went back to his big empty house. He felt so lonely. The house was quiet, too quiet. He thought about Carter. He thought about what Carter said about his daughter. Maybe Carter was right. Edward decided to be brave. He went to his daughter's house. His heart was beating fast. Thump, thump, thump. He was so nervous. What if she shut the door? He knocked softly. His daughter opened the door. She looked surprised. Then a little girl peeked out from behind his daughter. It was his granddaughter. He had never met her. She had bright, curious eyes. Edward looked at his daughter. His voice was soft. I just wanted to see you." His daughter's face was hard to read. "Why now?" she asked. "I've made a lot of mistakes," Edward said. He felt tears in his eyes. He did not go inside that day. But it was a start. A little bit of hope grew in his heart. He had kissed the most beautiful girl in the world, his granddaughter, with his eyes and heart, if not a real kiss yet, which was something special they put on the list. Then more sad news came. Carter got much, much sicker. He was back in the hospital. Edward rushed to be with him. He sat by Carter's bed. They were not angry anymore. They were just two friends. Carter was very weak. He knew his time was short. He wrote a letter to Edward. In the letter, he thanked Edward for the adventure. Find the joy, Edward, he wrote. He crossed off all the fun things they did together on their list. He told Edward to help a stranger for him. Soon after, Carter closed his eyes and went to sleep forever. Edward was there. He held Carter's hand. A very big sadness washed over him. He had lost his best friend. Tears rolled down Edward's face, but he was also so thankful for the time they had, for the laughs, for the friendship. Edward missed Carter every day, but he remembered Carter's letter. Find the joy. So Edward tried. He started to be a kinder man. He helped a stranger who needed money. He went to see his daughter again and again. He played with his granddaughter. He felt his heart becoming less empty. He found joy, just like Carter wanted. Many years later, Edward also grew old and passed away. His good helper, a man named Matthew, took Edward's ashes. He also had Carter's ashes. Matthew flew to the very tall, snowy mountains in the Himalayas. It was the place Edward and Carter wanted to see together, to witness something truly majestic. Matthew climbed up high. He found a special place with a beautiful, amazing view. He put Edward's ashes and Carter's ashes together in one coffee can side by side. They were together on their last adventure. The list was now complete. Edward and Carter showed that even when life is hard, or when you think it's too late, you can still find dreams. You can find friendship. You can find joy. They helped each other see the world, and they helped each other see what was truly important in life.
你太棒了！你学完了全部内容，你离英语自由又近了一步。下个视频见。